Hello, hello, hello. Whew. I'm going to take a second to exhale here. In case you didn't notice, there is no Sarah. This is Cam coming to you live from 5 Question Friday. Sretan petak, as Sarah usually says, so I will continue in that tradition. Happy Friday. Guys, it's a takeover. I'm taking over today. And I gotta say, I've been pretty calm all day, but in prepping for 5 Question Friday, there's so much to do right before the event goes live. And so I'm gonna take a moment and just exhale and get a few of those nerves out. Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to 5 Question Friday, where we answer your questions that you submit to us through Instagram, Facebook, our 5 Question Friday form. Questions that we get from my consulting sessions, Sarah's consulting sessions, LinkedIn, you name it. They're coming from everywhere. And we put 5 of these questions together about Croatia and we answer them here. Sometimes we even get questions via cryptogram, which can be a little challenging to decipher, but we'll take it. We'll take it. As I mentioned, Cam here. There is no Sarah around. This is a full-on takeover. I believe the only other person who has done this is Michael Freer. And so I'm a very few who have taken this over. And in all of the technical stuff, look at what I just noticed. I didn't put my mic on. So let me know how the sound is. I'm literally going at it right through my phone. I hope Sarah doesn't kill me, and I hope that you guys can hear me well. Oh, I see my colleague Daniela here giving me some love. Hi, hello, hello. Ooh, I'm so much more nervous. Guys, it's so different being a host versus being a guest. Like when I come on, I just have to kind of be here and either answer questions or chime in. Oh, thank you, Beck12. Thank you, KTHPRSN. I appreciate that. If there's any sound issues, please let me know. It seems silly to connect the microphone now. We're just going to keep going if it's working. I'm at you from a little village in Croatia, and I actually came and hid under a little gazebo because the weather seems to be just all over the place. It's sunny and hot, and then it was a little overcast, and then there was some raindrops falling. So I even brought the phone under the gazebo, and I think we'll be good here unless some crazy out of nowhere storm chimes in. So welcome. We're in a cute little forest with a cute little gazebo. What you can't see is that there's like a water pump, like an old school water pump right here in front of me. So I might be hitting that by accident when I move around. But yes, so I got some big shoes to fill today, people. Big shoes. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you to all the people who submitted additional questions when you knew that I was going to be hosting. Appreciate all the love and support. What do I want to talk about to start? Well, guys, I just came back from vacation. I took 2 weeks off, which is kind of crazy for me. I never actually check out. As you know, a Canadian, I was a business owner for a long time in Canada, and you just never shut down. And it took me over a year and a half of working here with much encouragement by all of my colleagues and Sarah, is Cam, you just got to step away. You got to have a real vacation. And I finally did that. And I didn't take my laptop with me on my vacation. This is the first time ever. And it was amazing. The family and we went to Island Pug. My cousins were gracious enough to allow us to stay in their apartment in Mandre. And it was beautiful. I haven't been to Island Pug for over 25 years. And it's a really cool island. If you haven't ever been there, I highly recommend you check it out. There's so much to do there. There's so much to see in terms of its topography, I guess is the word. It goes from looking like you're on the moon to being this lush, green space. And it's got such an interesting history, and Pog's got some really unique qualities about it. So I definitely recommend you check it out. The sea. Oh, the sea was spectacular. It was so clean, and a lot of the little beaches where we were little. And so, when we'd go in the morning, they were quite open. There wasn't a lot of people there. In the afternoons, there was a lot more people, but I wouldn't say it was like crowded, like, oh, I can't, like, there's no way I'm going here. This is too many people. It's just a huge guzhva. That wasn't it. I think actually, because the beaches, they're all very small, like, I don't know, like 10 meters long, like not long at all. And so it fills up quickly. So if you get to one of the beaches and you're like, oh, there's way too many people here, well, then you just walk to the next little one and then you check it out and you see, okay, there's room for us here. So it was a really cool place. The food was great. If you're ever in Mandre, there's a great little restaurant right on the Obala, right on the beach called Public. We had great service. The prices were pretty decent, especially considering what I've heard about this summer and the coast. So we did that. We were there for 4 days. And then we came back home and we just moved into our house that we built. So, spent the second week of my vacation opening boxes and setting up my office and just being at home and not being at work, which is really, really nice. So thanks to Terry and Sarah, who have really been trying to drive it home that, I need to take real vacations, and it was rejuvenating and it was amazing. So one thing I wanted to mention about Pug is for anybody who knows me or has seen any of my contributions to our social media accounts or whatever, you know that I love Croatian folklore. I'm a member of the diaspora. I grew up very entrenched in Croatian culture. And so my priority, to my husband's chagrin, was that the first night we go into the town of Pug and I go to the Pug Lace Museum. Or it's actually not a museum, it's the Pug Lace Gallery. It was magical and spectacular. And there was this little old lady there doing the needlework, like right as we were walking through the gallery. They had beautiful archives set up there for viewing. I think it was a €3 donation to walk through, which I was more than happy to give. And she was available to answer questions, which I thought was really cool. And also was offering lessons on to learn more about this beautiful handwork, needlework tradition that is very, very specific to the island Pug. So that was a highlight of my trip, especially my folklore heart was very filled while doing that. So I loved that. In case you're wondering why the heck I'm here and it's not Sarah, Sarah is at this very, very moment interviewing the U.S. ambassador to Croatia. She's in Zagreb doing this, and so I was entrusted to take over this live for this week. So thank you for being here. I'm gonna say at the beginning, I might make some mistakes. I've set up my laptop here, so I've got all my questions, and hopefully I'll be able to get through this episode smoothly, and you will all be happy with the job that I did in replacing Sarah today. So without further ado, I would like to start with the first question, and it came from Zdravka on Instagram. I'm gonna scroll it up here. So Zdravka says, I am a Croatian citizen who does not live in Europe. I visit every couple of years, usually for less than 90 days, and stay in my ancestral home. Do I need to register myself at the police every time I visit? And the answer, Zdravka, for you and other members of the diaspora who have their Croatian citizenship but don't live here, yes, you do. Every time you come here, you do have to register. And in fact, we're not the only ones. Every person who in the territory of Croatia must have their presence registered with the Croatian police, which we refer to as MUP, M-U-P. And this applies to both tourists as visitors as well as residents of Croatia. So if somebody who lives here has to be registered with the police. The only exception to this rule is EU and EEA citizens. So they are exempt, but Croatian citizens are not. So that is my first answer to my first question on 5 Question Friday. Actually, I want to expand on that a little bit. I want to say, if you are coming and staying as a tourist, like in an Airbnb or in a hotel, many times that establishment will register you at MOOP, but you do have to make sure that it's not an excuse if they don't do it, that, you know, that it didn't get done. You are responsible to make sure that you have been registered. Yeah, sometimes you forget if you're staying at your house. I was thinking about this question actually driving today from Zagreb after visiting with Sarah. You know, again, as a member of the diaspora, I always use the term that we're coming home to Croatia. And so when you're coming home, you don't even think about, okay, I need to register, and there's bureaucratic aspects that I need to do, because it's just someplace that we always come. But it is really important. If you have citizenship and you're living abroad, you're not an EU citizen, but a Croatian citizen, you do need to register with the police. So we have a few guides that you can look at and get some more information. The first is on how to register your address at the local police station. And you can send me a DM and I will follow up and send you the guide so that you can understand what that process is. Awesome. Thanks for the question. We made it through question 1. Okay. Question 2 comes from Michelle on IG. Hey, Michelle, thanks for sending this one through. Are there planned excursions available for olive picking? And I love this question because actually I was just making arrangements last week for my family and I to go olive picking. I really, really wanted to do it. As someone who's not from the coast, we live, and my family's just outside of Zagreb, and I have family in Slavonia, so we don't have any olive groves. And so I reached out to actually my colleague, Tamara, and I chatted with her a little bit about our family coming to Island Šolta and if we could participate in the berba maslina, or the olive harvest. And so I'm very hopeful we'll be able to do that. Typically this happens in October or even November, but I've been hearing, it's my understanding that the berba is a little bit earlier this year. Actually, it's been earlier for mostly everything, pumpkins and also grapes, I know. So it's happening probably 3rd or 4th week of September is what people are thinking in terms of timing. So I did not know that there were like planned excursions, but I did a little bit of research and there are. You can do like a day trip to an olive grove, usually run by families, and participate in the harvest, which, I mean, I hear it's a really, really beautiful experience. So many of these groves, these olive trees are so old, and there's just this wonderful atmosphere when you're doing this work. And of course, working with your hands and picking these olives and being a part of, you know, an ages old tradition is a pretty spectacular thing. So they do have these tours available, you know, in Istra, in Dalmatia, on various islands. There's actually a couple of guides that we have where Sarah shared her experiences. She did olive picking in Klis and olive picking on the island of Brač. And so if I go, I will also share our experience because it is something that I have always wanted to do. So yes, it's absolutely a thing. And yes, you should totally do it if you're here at that time of year. I have to give a shout out. I just saw that my mom joined, which probably means that perhaps one of my kids is also watching live. So hi, Mama, and hi to my little babies too. Okay, so that's question 2. All right. How am I doing, everybody? Can you still hear me okay? I can't believe how nervous I am. Guys, it's so different hosting than just being a part of it. I can't even tell you. Okay, question 3. Oh, hold on. I've got some comments here. I didn't think I would get to the comments. I thought I would be too nervous, but I'm definitely excited to read this. Okay, I had the opportunity to help in an olive harvest on the island of Krk, Malinska. What a beautiful experience. That's what I hear from people. You know, I hear it's hard work, but it's amazing work. Oh, do you know what we didn't talk about is the food that you eat when you do this. So there's typically some sort of goblets or a very like a family style lunch where you're enjoying beautiful local food. And there's of course wine, I hear. So I think that's also a plus of the whole of the whole experience. Thank you so much, McCarvalho. And hey, Neve, I just saw that my colleague Neve joined. Okay, we are on question 3. And this one comes from Christina on our 5-question Friday form. Here we go. As a third country national, while waiting for my digital nomad temporary residence permit to be approved, what are my travel restrictions? I am currently over my Schengen days. This is another fabulous question. This is why I chose them, because they're great questions. But I talk about this a lot in my consulting calls. Everybody wants to know while they have residence here or while they're waiting, which is her specific question, like, can they travel? Are they free to travel? While you are in processing, while you are legally allowed to be in Croatia while your application is being processed, it's recommended that you do not travel. And here's the thing too, if you're over your Schengen days, you really can't go anywhere in Schengen, but also, you should be staying in Croatia while you're waiting. So you are legally allowed to be in Croatia, but it is highly, highly recommended that you do not leave Croatia while you're in processing. But here's the thing, sometimes emergencies come up and sometimes people do need to travel. So if something does come up while you are in processing and you need to leave the country, again, I highly recommend that you go directly to your local MUP, so the Administrative Police Department, and you let them know, hey, something's come up, I need to leave the country from this state to this state, and do not leave without a piece of paper confirming this information. Something that says this person is in processing. We are aware that they're traveling and that they will be back, and whatever language they put in it. But you want something in writing. Please don't leave that police station with somebody just saying, yeah, it's no problem, you can go. I have been on calls with people who have shared their horror stories with me where they did leave Croatia based on someone's verbal affirmation that they can, and they were stuck at a Schengen border, fined, a significant fine, and there was even an instance where somebody was banned from entering Schengen for 2 years. So if you are in processing, stay in Croatia. You shouldn't be traveling. If you need to travel, you go and you get some sort of written confirmation from the MUP that they are aware, and something that you can show another country when you're traveling, so that you can get back into Schengen without any issues. So thank you for that question, Christina. I think I covered everything on that one. Yeah, I did. I covered all the points that I had. Perfect. All right. So we are at our lawyer tip of the week. Oh, I saw my other colleague, Tamara, join. Hi, Tamara. I already talked about you. Okay, so lawyer tip of the week. I am going to read this one word for word for you. This is a great one. So for anybody who is in the process of or thinking about getting their citizenship or is in process, this tip is for you. Okay. For anyone working on their citizenship application, it may be shocking, it's definitely shocking, to hear that it can take anywhere from 1 to 3 years to get a decision. When applying abroad, the wait time can be even longer due to the time it takes just to get an appointment to submit your application. This can add another 6 months to 1 year to the entire process. After you submit your application, there's really no straightforward way for you to know the status of your application, meaning there's no one you can call to get an update, which, can be terribly frustrating, especially when you're waiting that long. Even when the Ministry of the Interior does send a communication, for example, notifying you that your application is in the final stages, it might still be months and months until your citizenship is actually granted. So Some of the consulates discourage applicants from using a lawyer to assist with their citizenship applications. However, having a lawyer representing you in the process means that you will get information and updates along the way. When a lawyer has power of attorney, they're able to communicate on your behalf to MOOP. And when a decision finally comes through, it can take up to 4 to 5 months for the Ministry of the Interior to send that decision to the consulate abroad, and then time for the consulate to actually contact you. So when you work with a lawyer, you can save this time, since the delivery of the final resolution is far more effective when it's done locally in Croatia compared to when it is sent to the embassies and consulates around the world. So even if you've already submitted your citizenship application, you can always begin working with a lawyer after the fact, and they can help you get updates and shorten your wait time, which brings you one step closer to having your citizenship. And that is our lawyer tip of the week. Hi, Kathy. So lovely to have you here. Thanks for the support. All right. Hey, we are on question 4. And this question comes to us from a frequent flyer here on Instagram. This is coming from Daryl. Daryl submits so many great questions. He submits them for 5 Question Friday. We're in pretty regular chats on DM. And so thank you for asking all of your thoughtful questions, because we've been able to share so much information on 5 Question Friday. So Daryl, he submitted, can a third country national be covered under their spouse's health care, HZZO, this third country national, if they are not working? The answer to this question is yes, but there is an asterisk on that yes. That third country national has to be a permanent resident of Croatia. So permanent residents can get healthcare coverage through a spouse if their spouse is working. It doesn't matter, who they work for or where they work. They need to bring, in order for that third, the permanent resident spouse to get covered, the working spouse has to bring a copy of the marriage certificate, vjenčani list, and a copy of the decision of permanent residence, so the rješenje o stalnom boravku, to their employer in order to get that coverage for their spouse. I want to give a special thanks to my colleague Daniela, who literally sat on the phone and found this out directly from HZZO so that we could use this question today. So thank you, Daniela. And thank you, Daryl, for submitting the question. We've got some guides when it comes to healthcare. We're always talking about healthcare, understanding how it works, what sort of things are covered. So we've got a bunch of guides pertaining to healthcare. We've got a great general one to help you understand healthcare and health insurance in Croatia. And then in terms of third country nationals, we've got a guide on how you can apply for permanent residence and how EU permanent residents can get temporary residence in Croatia. So different ways for you to get here, and then the guides pertaining to healthcare. And you can dive even deeper, understanding the different levels of insurance. You can find the addresses for HZZO offices around Croatia on our website. So lots of information. Whatever you need, send me a DM and I will make sure that you get the guide that you need to get the answers for your specific situation. All right. Here we go. It's the last question. And this one comes from Marco with a C. And this also came in through our 5 Question Friday form. Oh, we are moving to Croatia in November or December. Congratulations. So exciting and so cool, Marco. And I want to learn the language. Do you know how I can manage that? Perhaps you know someone who offers courses online or a website that does. Of course we know this, and we have a guide for this. But I love talking about the Croatian language. I grew up speaking the language my whole life, and I helped my children get their Croatian to be better before we got here. So I've got lots of opinions and we've got lots of guidance on this. So I want to chat just a little bit online. There are definitely free options, and the free options are a great place to start. We've got a whole list of examples, but I want to pull out a couple. The first is through Croaticum. So Croaticum is offered in Zagreb. It's an in-person school. However, they do offer A1 and A2 Croatian level online for free. This is a great place to start, and it's a great place to get connected with Croaticum. I did an in-person semester with them just to, if you guys recall, I went in the winter, and it was just to improve my kind of next level Croatian, dealing with healthcare providers, understanding sort of the etiquette of communicating on a more professional level. And I found it so helpful. I love the vibe that they set up through that school. I love how they connect culture and trips into the city. So they do that in person semestered, but also they've got this aspect online, and it's free. So definitely explore Croaticum. There's also HR for EU. This is also done through Filozofski Fakultet, and it goes even further than language. So you're exploring culture, gastronomy, all kinds of aspects of Croatian, and you're doing it online at your own pace. So these are great places to start. And if you like, I'll send you the guides, and you'll see more examples. All of us learn differently. And so sometimes just the way that a website functions or the way that it looks can call us and be like, ooh, that's the one that I want to explore. And so we've put all these together for you, and you'll be able to explore and see which one works best for your learning style. There's also lots of apps, and actually we just, it wasn't that long ago, we did a poll to see what apps you guys all preferred, and really it was kind of all over the place. Some people really like Mondly, some people like the droplets, like for vocabulary drops, but really the jury was out on what apps were the best. And here's what I found, because before we came here, I wanted to practice with the kids as much as possible. And so I thought that apps would be a great way to do that, along with some of the other ways that they were learning. But what I found was there wasn't an app that did it all. If we wanted to work on vocabulary, yeah, the drop vocabulary types of apps were great. If we wanted to work on grammar and sentence structure, then like a Mondly was great, or like a Duolingo style. I don't think Croatian's on Duolingo, but that type. But there wasn't one that encompassed everything, and I found that really frustrating. I also thought it was hilarious that after trying a bunch of apps, what my children took away from it was that Croatians talk a lot about coffee and alcohol because those were the examples of sentences and conversations that were used in these apps. I mean, it's an accurate thing, but I thought it was pretty funny that they picked up on that based on the exercises in applications to learn the language. There's also online options that are in person. Most of these are not free, they are paid. But sometimes most of the time, if not all of the time, having that live person to talk to give you that immediate feedback, to be able to cater what they're giving to you based on what you're giving to them, I find that is, for me anyways, and I saw it with my kids, the most effective way to learn. And so sometimes I think, we have all of these gadgets, we have these apps, we have all of this stuff, and we sort of dabble in all of it. But in our instance, I found that the one-on-one was ultimately the way that propelled me forward the most, and the way that propelled my children forward the most. So I wanted to share that with you. I also wanted to share some of the really, really easy and simple ways that you can just include the Croatian language in your everyday life, which can help you, when you hear a language, when you hear the cadence of it, the rhythm of it, the musicality of it. And let me tell you, Croatian has a musicality to it. It helps to improve all aspects of your understanding and the way that you speak. So easy ways to do this is by watching Croatian TV. You can subscribe to HRT through almost everywhere in the world. It's not difficult to access Croatian television. You can do it through YouTube. You can do it in all kinds of ways. You know, and watching Croatian movies. Guys, Croatia has some incredible movies and they're fabulous. So watching those can be a lot of fun. Getting Croatian language on Netflix. I love watching things in Croatian and then having English subtitles, or doing it the other way around. I think if you're learning the language, it's better to hear it, so that you've got it in your ear and you can kind of pull words out. But I like to do it the other way too. It helps me learn new words and you know, just explore it in multiple ways. I also love watching Croatian with Croatian subtitles, so then I'm listening and reading the words at the same time. If you're not in Croatia, you can get Croatian Netflix if you have a VPN, and then you just put Croatia so that you get the Croatian programming and the option to choose it as a language. What else? Oh, a really, really shockingly effective way that my Croatian got better is by reading children's books. So when my children were toddlers, I used to order books from Croatia and have them delivered to Canada. And I mean, when you're reading really, really simple books where children are learning their basic vocabulary, you're also improving your vocabulary. And I remember coming here to Croatia that summer and my family just being like, whoa, like, Carol Ann, your grammar is out of this world good compared to the last time you were here. And I was like, thanks. It's all the children's books that I've been reading. But I did find them really, really helpful. And of course, the kids benefited too. So if you've got young children, that's a really great way to learn Croatian. You know, and even if your Croatian's not that great, they're simple, they're picture books. There's usually, you know, a sentence on a page, and it allows you to see sentence structure and understand grammar, you know, in a very basic way. So I really loved that. And then simple things like listening to music. I love Croatian music. I love Croatian traditional music. I love folklore music. But I love listening to Croatian radio, especially when I was in Canada. We would always have, back then there was Narodni radio. I'd love having Narodni radio on in the background, and just feeling that connection in that way to Croatia through popular music. I have to say too about language, I hear a lot of people saying, well, Croatians, you know, you don't need to know Croatian to come to Croatia. Everybody speaks English. Okay, everybody does not speak English, especially when you're dealing with like the lady at your Hazazo office. Like, they're not speaking English. They're really not. You know, and I'm not speaking English to my children's principal at their school. You know, so yes, Croatians are very gracious, and they're going to jump to English, and whether they speak it really well or broken, they're going to make an effort to help and bridge that communications gap with you. But I also know on the other side, they're so, I don't know if it's taken aback is not the right word, but they're like so kind when they love to, like, oh my gosh, like, I can speak English for you, but I'm like, no, možemo po hrvatski. And they're like, oh, that's so lovely. Like, that extra effort on my part was made to make sure that I can communicate with them in their native language. And I know that Hrvati do appreciate that. And they're very kind and gracious about grammar mistakes. You know, often I'll start sentences saying, you know, I'm so sorry for any grammar mistakes that I made. And they're like, oh, you're doing great. Keep going. And they're very encouraging. So don't be shy. Try it. Make the mistakes. All that can come of learning a new language is learning a new language and understanding a people and a culture in a better way. So that's all I have to say about that. We've got some great guides for language learning, including this guide for free and paid online tools. We've got a guide that Sarah wrote about the 10 really easy ways she learns Croatian kind of without even trying. And I love that guide. They're just really great everyday tips. Whether you're here for residence, whether you're here as a tourist, it's all great ideas for learning the language. I saw some comments coming through as I was going through my questions today, and I think somebody asked for one of the guides. When this gets published, it doesn't save the comments that were in the live. So please send us a DM so that I can follow up with you and I can make sure that you get the guide that you wanted to get. That's it. It's 5:35 Croatia time. I made it through all of my questions. There was a little bit of fumbling, but I hope you found it helpful. Thank you so much for the people who submitted questions. Oh, Sandra, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate all of my friends and family who logged on, or all of those who are going to watch it afterwards, and just for that extra boost of support. I appreciate it. Guys, I'm filling in big shoes here. Like, this is a skill set. Sarah's really, really good at this. So I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot of lessons. There's some technical stuff, I'm sure it wasn't fabulous to watch me read over here, but I needed to make sure that I was covered under the rain. And it ended up not raining. So that's awesome. Hey, Terry, I'm glad you made it. Thanks so much, everybody. Aw, thanks, Janelle. Thank you, M119 Cross. I'm glad you had a good time. I hope you found it helpful. And thanks again. I could gush on and on and on, but I'm going to end the live. So, ciao. Sretan petak. I hope you have a great weekend, ugodan vikend, sve najbolje. Čujemo se, vidimo se. Puno hvala. Ajde Bog, čao.